SpaceX has delayed its next Falcon 9 mission from Space Launch Complex 4E at Vandenberg Space Force Base, carrying the joint NASA/CNES Surface Water and Ocean Topography (SWOT) satellite. The satellite had been scheduled to lift off atop of Falcon 9 on Thursday, December 15. But the launch is now scheduled on Friday, December 16, to allow teams to complete further data review and analysis after moisture was identified in two of the first stage's Merlin engines. The Surface Water and Ocean Topography mission, known as SWOT, is a joint project being led by NASA and the French Centre National d'Études Spatiales, CNES, to observe and collect data on bodies of water around the globe. The UK Space Agency, UKSA, and the Canadian Space Agency, CSA, are also contributing to the program. Once aloft, the satellite will measure water levels of lakes, rivers and oceans around the world with unprecedented precision. The mission's data will give scientists a better understanding of our world's waterways and how they're affected by climate change on our planet. This will provide a more thorough understanding of how seawater absorbs carbon and atmospheric heat, which are the causes of climate change itself, and the rise of global temperatures. The ability to measure the height of water on a global scale and understand climate change with SWOT will also enable scientists to understand further sea level rise. To conduct science and collect the needed data for the mission, the SWOT satellite features several instruments. These include the Wide Swath K-band Radar Interferometer, KARIN, which was designed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, with its radio frequency assembly built by Thales Alenia Space and CNES. KARIN can view 60-kilometer wide strips on each side of the ground track of the satellite once in orbit, using two K-band synthetic aperture radar antennas on either end of a 10-meter boom. The instrument has a horizontal resolution of 50 to 100 meters. The spacecraft is powered by a pair of solar arrays which were built by Boeing-owned Spectralab incorporated across all 6 panels. The arrays have a total of 3,316 EXD triple junction, XDJ, solar cells. SWOT's satellite bus was built by Thales Alenia Space for prime contractor CNES. The science instruments supplied by JPL were integrated with the satellite bus at the CNES assembly facility during final assembly, which began about a year before SWOT was shipped to the United States for launch. After assembly was completed, SWOT was put through several environmental tests by CNES to check that it was ready for launch. With these completed, it was transported from Nice, France to Vandenberg Space Force Base using a U.S. Air Force Lockheed C-5 Galaxy aircraft. After arriving in California on the evening of October 16, the satellite was transported to the Astrotech Space Operations Facility, on base at Vandenberg. Final checks on the satellite were completed at Astrotech before SWOT was moved to a SpaceX facility where it was encapsulated with 2 fairing halves. After encapsulation, the satellite was horizontally integrated with the rest of the Falcon 9 rocket inside the Horizontal Integration Facility, HIF, at Space Launch Complex 4 East, SLC-4E. On December 9, launch managers from NASA, the SWOT team, and SpaceX met to conduct the Flight Readiness Review, or FRR, to go over all aspects of the mission and certify that all teams were ready to launch. Friday is shaping up to be a very busy day in spaceflight. SpaceX is expected to launch 2 missions that day in addition to SWOT. Both of the others will lift off from Florida's Space Coast. One will loft a batch of the company's Starlink internet satellites, and the other will send up 2 satellites for the telecom company SES. Rocket Lab also is targeting Friday for its first ever launch from U.S. soil. On that mission, an Electron booster topped with 3 Hawkeye 360 radio monitoring satellites will launch from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia.